of the things that I showed in the PowerPoint the other day. Just remind you, remember we have one of the deductions you get on your taxes are withholding allowances, so that's the dependents that live in your house. So we have that listed here in this column where it says number of allowances. So that determines where you look at on your tax table. And the reason, so I handed one out. I know mine's blurry, but you can follow along with the one that you're looking at, which is not easy to read either. So up at the top, you see it says add the number of withholding allowances claimed. So you've got a different column for all your allowances claimed on your taxes. So the next thing I want to point out, you've got a column for marital status. So that's another one of those incentive things that the government has in place. If you're married, you actually don't have to pay as much in withholding tax as somebody that's single. So you notice, depending on what side of this chart you're looking at, one says single, and the other side says married. So you've got a single and married side. So I'm going to start here with Robert Plant. He's married. He has no allowances. His total gross earnings are $800. Yes. So we'll look at the chart on the side. So we'll find 800. Okay, now here's where it gets real tricky, okay? So make sure you're looking at the chart, or kind of looking at, see where I'm pointing, and then look at the chart in the same spot. Okay, I'm getting to that, right? This is what I'm getting ready to say right now. Alright, so at the top of your columns, one column says at least, and the other column says but less than. So this one's a good example because we're looking at $800. So as we're going down our money column, we find a range. He made at least $700. And then the other column says 800. So remember your heading. It says less than $800. So he made $800. Did he make less than $800? I see some heads shaking no, which is correct. So we go down one more line to where it says at least $800 because he made $800 exactly. So you've got to watch out for that on some of these. They're going to be right on that line, and it's got to be remember, it's got to be less than whatever that number is. So if they hit right on that line, you've got to go to the next one, so where it's at least. So he made at least $800. He's got 0 allowances. So we've got our 800. We find our column with 0. And here that is. And we've got the number 48. I know mine's blurry, but it says 48. That's $48. So for our federal withholding tax, we're going to write down 48 for $48.
So federal income tax withholding.
Right, federal income tax withholding is 48. So instead of going to the next two columns, I'm going to do the next one down since we're on the table. So now we've got Sammy Hagar. He's single. He's got one allowance. So first thing, single. So that's going to be on the other side. Because he's single. He made $900. So we'll go down our list until we find the $900. So remember, it's going to be, that one's going to be in the at least column because he made at least $900, and he has one dependent or one exemption. So we just look at our columns. One. You come down here, match it up. $86. So $900. This is the column for one dependent. $86. Remember, this first one's for zero. So if you don't want to look at the header, you can't go 1, 2, 3. You've got to start. The next one is 1 because the first one is 0. So $86. So we'll put 86 right here in our federal withholding. So now something to point out. So look at Robert Plant. He's married. He has no allowances, no dependents whatsoever, and he's only got to pay $48 in tax. And Sammy here, he's single, has an allowance, but he's got to pay almost twice as much. It's because he's single. So when you're single, you have to pay more in tax. Or you can look at the other way. When you're married, you have to pay less in tax.
So would you multiply those by these percentages to get the other two?
Right.
Okay.
So now our next two taxes that we're going to take out of our paycheck. One of the things I know I mentioned in the PowerPoint from last week was Social Security. Remember that Social Security is a government kind of a forced retirement program. So you at least have some money put back for when you hit retirement age. It's a forced program, but you're going to get that money back. And at the top of your sheet, it tells you how much is going to get taken out. So you're going to have 6.2% taken out in Social Security. So what you can do, you can use your calculator. You can either use the percentage key on your calculator, or this is what I do. It's habit. This is the way I was taught a long time ago. This is what I've always done. Or it's 0.062. You convert your percentages into decimals. That's 0.062. So we've got our gross earnings. So it's going to be 800 times 0.062. That's $49.60. Remember, this is money, so you've got to write down the zero when it's money because you don't want to leave anything to guesswork. So $49.60. And the next thing that's going to get taken out of our check is our Medicare withholding tax. And what Medicare is, I don't think I've talked about that in class yet. What Medicare is, it's a medical program. It's a government medical program for people that are retired. So money comes out of our paychecks to pay for that. So people that are retired, they can still get hospital care, doctor care through Medicare. And we pay for that. It comes out of our checks. When we get old and retired, we'll be on Medicare. And the people that are working then, they'll be paying into Medicare to pay for those medical bills. So that's going to be the same thing. We're going to convert our percentage into a decimal if you want to. Or you can use the percentage key on your calculator. So 0.0145. So we've got 800 times 0.0145. $11.60 for Medicare. And as far as these two things, it doesn't matter whether you're married or not. It's the same percentage no matter what. So if you're married, have 10 kids, you still have to pay the same percentage out in Medicare and Social Security tax. Multiply. So our next one, I'm going to do the 900. So 900 times, now what you could do, you could just use 6.2%. Oops. $55.80. Or 900 times 0.0145. 1305. So I'm going to need those tax tables back, so I can come around and collect those in a minute here before the bell rings. But